Hi everyone. In today's talk, I will be addressing the broad topic on leadership competencies, skills development, especially targeting on varying aspects of project leaders and the developmental skills, competencies, and mindset to attain productivity and a high level of efficacy as a lead. Responsibilities of project manager. What are the responsibilities of a project manager? As a project manager, you are assigned to lead a team to accomplish an allocated task. The project manager is accountable to ensure the customer's expectations are met through the agreed upon deliverables. This includes the work scope of the assigned task to be completed with quality deliverables within the allocated budget and efficiently with the assigned timeline. The primary responsibility is to provide leadership in planning, organizing, monitoring, and controlling the work process and efforts to attain the project's goal. For example, if the project team is an event organizing team, then you'll be the lead responsible that the event requirements are met and executed within the timeline stipulated and all ready to go on the actual day. Similarly, if you are leading an athletic team, the project manager in this case will be the coach and you'll be responsible to have the team go through the expected training and get them all ready for their actual performance. The project manager allocates the right tasks to the right people who have the necessary skills as such, involved in coordinating the activities of the various team members as a cohesive team to fulfill the tasks at hand within a stipulated timeline effectively and efficiently. Planning. Project managers' responsibilities. Planning is one of the primary responsibilities of a project manager. First, the project manager clearly defines the objectives of the project, negotiates, and reach consensus with the client on the expected deliverables. The next step is to explore the best avenue to communicate the agreed objectives to the project team. More importantly, this must be articulated to the project team that enables them to see the vision of what constitutes the successful attainment of the objectives agreed upon. Further to this, the project manager is expected to lead, spearheads the shaping up of the plan to eventually meet the objectives of the project. It is imperative to have the project team participate and involve in this process so that a much more comprehensive plan could be developed. Apparently, the underlying rationale is to gain commitment and support from the team to accomplish the project plan. Next, the project manager engages the customer to review the plan, and after much discussion, the final phase is to gain endorsement and then sets up a project management information system, which could be either manual or computerized. The purpose of doing so is to perform a comparative analysis of the actual progress against the planned progress. Finally, a thorough explanation on how to use the system should be disseminated so that the project team can use it properly to manage the project to have the deliverables attained. Organizing. Project managers' responsibilities. The role organizing by the project manager involves securing the appropriate resources to carry out the work and execute the deliverables. The very first step is for the project manager to sort out and make a concrete decision on which tasks are to be performed by the internal staff, that is, the current employees, or the talent pool that is available within the organization, and which specific tasks are to be outsourced to subcontractors or consultants, respectively. For the tasks to be performed internally, the project manager must ensure the commitment of the specific employee identified is obtained who will work and deliver the outcomes of the project. For tasks performed by the subcontractors, the project manager defines the job scope, responsibilities, specific deliverables, and negotiates a contact with each subcontractor. The project manager will make the specific individuals and subcontractors accountable for the completion of their assigned tasks within the allocated budget and schedule by assigning specific responsibilities and delegates authority to them respectively. For large projects, where many individuals are involved, the project manager would have to designate leaders for specific work packages or groups of tasks. The vital element involved in the process of organizing is creating a work climate and culture where individuals are highly motivated and committed to work together as a team to achieve quality deliverables efficiently and within the allocated resources. Monitoring and controlling project managers' responsibilities. Under the scope of monitoring and controlling, the project manager implements a project management information system that assists to monitor the actual progress by comparing it with the planned progress. This system allows the manager to distinguish the project milestones between the busyness and accomplishment. The project manager empowers the team members in tracking the progress of the assigned tasks, where they are accountable in providing regular updates on the actual progress, schedule, cost, and earned value of the work performed. The review meetings serve as supplementary controls for further checks. Immediate action to be taken is the actual progress falls behind the planned progress or unexpected occurrences of events happens. The project manager must urgently engage their respective team members to take appropriate corrective actions and replan on the affected parts of the project in a speedy fashion. It is vital for project manager to foresee and identify challenges, even potential problems early, and take quick remedy actions to address them. An agile mindset with speedy intervention and proactiveness approach must be adopted to resolve the problems before they become worse or have recurring effects. Skills of project manager. In this part of the lesson, we will be diving deeper into the skill set that capable project managers should possess. Other than providing leadership in planning, organizing, monitoring, and controlling the work process and efforts to attain the project's goal, as a project manager, you ought to have the skills and abilities that motivate your team to succeed and gain customers' confidence. These include strong leadership ability and the ability to develop people, excellent communication, and interpersonal skills, the ability to handle stress, and skills that involve problem solving, negotiation, and time management. We will discuss each of these elements explicitly. The first skill set we will be focusing on is leadership ability. To be able to get things done through others, one of the skills an effective manager possesses is the ability to motivate team members to implement the plan and achieve the project intention successfully by working as a team. You need to create a vision for the team and make clear what are the expected benefits of this project, because when the members of your team can visualize what the results will be, they will be more inclined to work together and finish the project well. A participative and a consultative leadership approach is preferred over a hierarchical, autocratic, and directive management style. This is done by providing guidance and coaching to the team, establishing parameters and guidelines for what needs to be done, then allowing the team members to decide how to execute it. Involving and empowering your team is another requirement for effective project management. People have the desire for autonomy and to demonstrate their competence. One way you can do so is to allow them the authority to make decisions regarding the tasks they are assigned to. This makes them accountable for performing their work scope within budget and on schedule. However, as the project manager, you need to establish clear guidelines and limits to avoid instances where the consequences of one member's decision spill over and impact other members and/or the entire team negatively. For instance, one team member might decide to delay ordering certain materials before a test result is confirmed. But by the time the other team members receive these materials, the project will not finish on time. Especially when contracts are signed, delays not only damage the company's reputation, but penalties often must be paid as well. In this case, you might want to gather all the relevant project members in a meeting to discuss this issue. To be a capable project manager with good leadership capability, you also need to be aware of what stimulates your project members. For individuals to be energized, to excel, a supportive environment should be created where each member works as part of a high-performing team. Encourage participation and involvement of all team members. Show that you value the contributions of each project member and allow them to tap into expertise and knowledge of one another. Be wary not to create situations or engage in behaviors that might decrease the motivation your project members might be bestowed on. Unclear expectations, making individuals go through unnecessary procedures, unproductive team meetings, underutilization of individuals are some of the things that are discouraging and should be avoided. Therefore, effective managers need to understand what motivates and demotivates individuals in order to create a supportive environment and avoid doing things that have the opposite effect. One way you can foster motivation is by giving credit where credit is due, be it the entire team or individual members. It can come in the form of monetary incentive, verbal encouragement, praise, a plug, or assigning someone a more responsible position on the project team. According to Skinner's theory of operant conditioning, positive reinforcement begets desired behavior. Showing appreciation, such as thanking the team for completing a project ahead of schedule or exhibiting genuine interest in each person's work, will motivate individuals to be more engaged in contributing to the project and encourage the team to try to repeat such behavior for future projects. However, recognition ought to be done as soon as possible after the contribution has been made. If not, team members might feel that they are not interested in the contribution made. Others should also be involved when the recognition is being made. You can praise the member during a project meeting or in front of the customer or the project organization's upper management. Try to make it fun for the person as well, with some sort of novelty award or lunch treat, perhaps. Setting the tone of the project team is one of the key leadership abilities a project manager should have. Form an environment of trust, high expectations, and enjoyment for your team members. For your team to trust you, you need to set an example by living up to your word and following through commitments you make. If not, you will lose credibility. As a project manager, you might tend to have high expectations of yourself and your team, so much so that you might be overly optimistic and frustrate your team by committing to overly ambitious project. It is therefore crucial for you to balance your high expectations with reality. No one likes a project manager who is foolhardy or reckless, regardless if they are your subordinates, clients, or supervisors. As social creatures, most people working on projects dislike working in isolation because it is boring. Socialization is a prerequisite for high performing team, and project managers can facilitate this process by creating a sense of camaraderie. To foster an enjoyable and sociable environment, you can conduct periodic social gatherings, organize events that include the members' families, place all members in one office location if feasible, or having an open office environment. Related to the previous slide about recognition, celebrating successes, especially early in the project, can make the job fun by creating a forum for socialization, informal chatter, and team building. Last but not the least, to accomplish the project objective, a project manager can influence the team's behavior. Practice what you preach by being highly motivated and setting a positive example for the team. Adopt a can do attitude, maintain a positive attitude, and exhibit confidence. Avoid behaviors such as whining or blaming. Make it clear that such behaviors are not tolerated on the team. The project manager leads by making things happen. Next, ability to develop people. Being committed to training and developing the people working on the project is an ability that effective project managers have. This benefits the organization and the individual in the long run. Use the project as an opportunity for the team members to value add, such that at the end of the project, each member becomes more competent and knowledgeable than when they first started. It allows them to expand their technical know-hows and develop soft skills. Establishing a learning environment by meeting everyone at the beginning and encourage them to take advantage of their project assignments to expand their skills and knowledge. To determine what activities or opportunities are needed, ask them what they have learned from working on their previous project and what they would like to learn on this current one. Communicate the value of self improvement by encouraging them to participate in seminars or ask for new or challenging assignments. You can also provide opportunities for team members to learn and develop. Suppose you have an analyst on the team who has limited familiarity with Python. You can assign them a design task that requires them to learn more about coding. By stretching their capabilities and helping them accomplish more than they think they can, you are not only helping them grow as an individual, but also making them more valuable to the organization on future projects. You can also identify and create situations where team members who are less experienced get to learn from those who are more experienced. In this case, you ought to inform the latter that mentoring is part of their job on the project. Another way you can provide chances for development is sending members to attend formal training sessions. Thereafter, let these attendees apply and share what they have learned to the job and the rest of them. All of this send the message that you value and expect continuous self-development. As a project manager, you are required to be an excellent communicator. This means that you need to have regular and effective communication not only to your team, but with other stakeholders as well, such as subcontractors, customers, upper management. This is especially crucial early in the project to build a good working relationship with the team and set up clear expectations with all the relevant parties. Communication and sharing or information can be done using either verbal or written forms. You can conduct meetings and information conversations or write up reports. To do so, you need to have good verbal and written communication skills. Spend more time listening than talking because you learn more through the format. Great project managers listen to the expectations and needs of the customer. Then you and your team will be able to deliver something that meets expectations. Great project managers also support the ideas and concerns of the project team and stakeholders. And they do so by initiating, simulating, and facilitating communication. When you introduce a topic to the team member or in a team meeting, for example, you can solicit reactions and ideas first instead of dominating the entire meeting. On top of that, you should also have an ongoing communication with external parties, such as scheduling a weekly phone call with the customer to keep abreast of their level of satisfaction throughout the project. Effective communication leads to credibility and builds trust. Other than having frequent communication, it should also be timely and honest to the extent of upholding discretion with regards to confidential information. Share, but don't overshare. This is to prevent rumors from starting and to avoid misleading stakeholders. For example, a missing quote and unquote team member might lead to rumors about them being fired due to overrun budget might arise. Within the team, this affects the team's morale as it creates unnecessarily stress and panic. Externally, clients and the upper management might think that the project is failing and might intervene unwisely. But in fact, the member might have been temporarily assigned elsewhere to help other teams. Timely feedbacks to the team and customer are important as well. Be it good or bad, news should be shared promptly. Members need to have up-to-date information to be effective. When it comes to delivering bad news, together with supporting data and rationale, the project manager should provide recommendations and solutions to the customer or sponsor. Team members should feel psychologically safe to voice out differing viewpoints without any fear of punishment. To create an atmosphere that encourages timely and open communication, team members should feel that, say, they can admit to having difficult completing a task to the project manager without being penalized. Going back to the leadership skill of creating a supportive environment and motivating members to work as a team, when members feel safe to ask for help and admit their mistakes promptly, issues can be rectified before further damage has been done. Hence, a psychologically safe atmosphere might be a key factor deciding the project's success. Interpersonal skills. These skills are essential and they depend on excellent communication skills. Establish clear expectations of the project team members by involving the team when developing the project plan. This involves members to know the importance of their own roles and get them aware of who are assigned to what tasks and how they fit together and influence each other in the team. Of course, the project manager should emphasize that everyone's contribution is valuable and no one is important than another member. To have demonstrate interpersonal skills, you first must develop and maintain a good relationship with each member in the team. Initiate conversations whenever the occasion arises, such as over lunch or when you meet them outside of work. These conversations allow you to get to know your team member on a deeper level, what motivates them, what concerns they might have, etc. Armed with this information, you can then know how to develop them, guide them, and influence them to perform on the job while keeping them satisfied with their work. To influence or persuade others, be it the team members, customers, or subcontractors, you cannot deal with it in a heavy handed manner. Therefore, good interpersonal skills come into play. One way is to strike up a conversation, is to try and learn about their personal interests without being intrusive or being open-ended questions and do a lot of listening. Rather than simply greeting each other, try to engage them in a conversation, even if it is brief. Show genuine interest and provide feedback and encouraging comments to get the conversation flowing. Perhaps you can start by mentioning your own family members or hobbies. And when the team member offers theirs, say things like, "That's interesting, tell me more about it." Project managers should have good interpersonal skills, specifically during special circumstances such as when a project member feels discouraged, when they couldn't debug a software, or when they are facing personal problems. You encourage and support them genuinely, and when they share any private or personal information, you must use good judgment and make sure those stay confidential. Lastly, good interpersonal skills help a project manager to deal with discord. When disagreements arise, you will need to ensure that at the end of mediation, no one's face is lost or their relationship did not deteriorate, all of which require delicate handling on your part. Of course, you also need to ensure that the project work is not affected. This further demonstrates the importance of good interpersonal skills. If you are aware of individual concerns and personality information you might have gathered through conversations you have been initiating with them, you might be able to better resolve the situation. The next skill of a capable project manager is the ability to handle stress. There are many activities that happen concurrently in a project, and unexpected events are bound to arise. Conflicts will also occur, and all these will produce stress. As a project manager, you need to remain composed and cope with constant changes. Your team members look to you for guidance, and external stakeholders look to your behavior as a signal of how well the project is going. Sometimes you must act as a buffer between them. Often, the customer or the upper management would be discontented with the progress of the project. You need to relay this to your team in a way that will spur them to meet the challenge. To do that, you need to be able to take criticisms and not become discouraged. Sometimes you also must project your team from external interferences that might distract or cause unnecessary stress and in turn hinder their performance. Having a good sense of humor is a requirement for a capable project manager. used appropriately, it can help you to handle the stress and break the tension. Of course, your humor must be in good taste. At the same time, you need to make clear that inappropriate humor is unacceptable in the team as well. Taking care of your physical health can improve your ability to handle stress. Organizing stress relieving activities for you and your team is also a great way to not only distress but also a great opportunity to socialize. Another vital skill that a project manager requires is problem solving skills. A good problem solver can identify actual or potential problems early on. This allows you time to develop a well thought through solution, decrease cost, and has less impact on other parts of the problem. In order to be able to identify these problems requires open and timely communication, timely and accurate data-driven information system, and some gut feelings, which are based on experience. You will not be able to identify every problem that might occur. This is when your team members play a part. Encourage them not only to identify problems early, but also resolve the issues on their own if they can instead of depending on you. That does not mean that they should keep quiet about it. Team members should notify you about the situation regardless because they might not see the big picture. Realize that other team members are also affected. When a problem has been raised, ask for suggestions instead of providing your ideas first. You might inadvertently stifle or limit responses and creativity by offering solutions before hearing others out. When others disagree with you, do not get defensive. You need to recognize that differing viewpoints and opinions often leads to the best solution. Your team can also be a good sounding board to check for feasibility. Who are the appropriate people to approach and understand the problem on a deeper level, thus preventing other mistakes being made. To develop the optimal solution, a project manager needs to use analytical skills to assess the information and see the big picture. After developing the solution, you then delegate the implementation to appropriate team members in the team. Negotiating skills. You will encounter many negotiating occasions throughout the project cycle. Thus, having good negotiating skills are essential for project managers. It could be regarding contract agreements, gathering for resources for your team, or even requesting for extension of deadlines. In a negotiation, the goal is to arrive at a mutually acceptable agreement. Do not go into a negotiation using disruptive bargaining and thinking that what both parties want are mutually exclusive. Effective negotiations should result in a win-win outcome for both parties, not a win-lose outcome. Be flexible and willing to compromise. Be patient and not feel the pressure to respond immediately or and make knee-jerk reactions. You need to know when to ask for timeout, to give yourself time to think. You should also be proactive in offering gestures to encourage the other party to make concessions using tactics such as saying, "Yes, I can do that if you could." If some items at an impasse, set those aside and move on to other less contentious items so that the progress can be made. This also allows momentum to build so that you can address the more difficult issues. Both parties should feel heard and understood, and this requires good listening skills. It would also be helpful if a trusting relationship has already been developed, which is related to having good interpersonal skills. With globalization, taking cultural differences into due consideration is also crucial when negotiating. Different cultures have different approaches when it comes to negotiation. It is also key that you set a good example by maintaining integrity and respect for the party you are negotiating with through the bargaining. It is imperative that everyone saves face and no one feels resentful. Bear in mind that in order to have opportunities to continue doing business with the other party, maintaining a good relationship is critical. Therefore, effective negotiations should not erode relationships. In fact, you should strengthen them. Time management skills. Projects usually involve numerous activities happening concurrently, and unexpected events are bound to arise. This takes up a lot of energy. Therefore, project managers need to manage their time well. In order to do so, you should be self disciplined and have the ability to prioritize. To make optimal use of the time available, this is where the leadership skill of involving and empowering team members comes in. It is impossible for you to do everything by yourself. Hence, you need to demonstrate a willingness to delegate and let your team members help you so that you can focus on tasks that only you can accomplish. As the title suggests, a project manager's key role is to manage the project. In order to do so, you need to take care of yourself, your team, and other stakeholders of the project. This requires a variety of skills ranging from leadership ability to time management skills, and we have discussed in depth what each of those skills entail. With that, we have come to the end of this masterclass. I trust you have enjoyed and gained valuable insights. Thank you. Let us now open the floor to have questions on Slido. We have one question here. What are strategies for us as students that we could adopt for effective time and energy management? So let me address the question. One of the fundamental and imperative skill and know-how is knowing the correct mixture of strategies to be adopted for effective time and energy management. Hence, it is important to be aware of the limited and valuable time at hand and how these resources are carefully and mindfully deployed in achieving the outcomes. First and foremost, we need to understand that 20% of your activities account for 80% of your success. So give this 20% of your task your highest priority. So the action step is to prioritize your tasks with absolute precision and clarity. Let's see an example. As a project student lead, you will have to manage multiple student related projects with varying complex demands and deadlines. Hence, it is crucial for you to have these tasks carefully evaluated with a clear plan, acknowledging the constraints, hence, prioritize by having to deploy the right amount of resources to attain the variables accordingly. We have another interesting question, and it goes, what are some ways to deal with multitasking? There are three strategies that we could adopt to deal with multitasking. Namely, number one, prioritized to-do list. Number two, time blocks. Number 3, self-awareness check. You must prioritize the urgent tasks at hand so that you could allocate the resources, time, and energy for the task that requires immediate attention. The prioritized do list also serves as a guiding, scaffolded framework in executing the task efficiently by limiting multitasking. Then the next strategy is to use the time blocks to manage your energy and time more productively. For example, to set a specific number of hours that requires your team members, perhaps you are dealing with a student related project, need to spend on a project to see through, and in the next few hours as the next block will be for another project. Basically, time blocks enable you to dedicate specific hours with full focus to address what is required of it and move on with the next on the list. Finally, the self-awareness check enables you to review what has been planned and to examine if there is a need to realign the new commitments that comes in daily for you as a student or perhaps as a student leader. Hence, it is essential to do a self-awareness check, which includes the collective tasks for your group members or your peers in a student-led team, perhaps. We have time for another one question. So let's see. Here comes another question, and it goes, how do we avoid to be a procrastinator? A very important question as future university students. So strategies to address, control, and overcome procrastination. There are two fundamental yet vital strategies. Namely, number 1, tighten the deadline. Number 2, create the to-do list. Let's first look at the first strategy, is to overcome procrastination through tightening up the deadline. By devising a tight deadline, for example, an artificial deadline which is much earlier than the original deadline enables you to come out of procrastination state and gets you to perform the task at hand. By literally putting positive pressure to let you explore the situation and act creatively. Indeed, having a much compressed time phase to complete the task would potentially make you perform much better. Hence, makes you more productive. For example, as a student project lead, if your deadline is to deliver the outcomes by 4 weeks, you may set it to 3.5 weeks, slightly earlier, which enables you and your peers in the group to start early and have more time for a thorough review that only enhances the quality and rigor of your work to be produced. Work expands to fill the time allocated it. Hence, by adopting Parkinson's law, it basically requires you to put self-time constraints on everything you do, even if there is no real need to do so. This self-imposed strategy becomes the driving force, a positive push factor to focus on your work instead of procrastinating. Now, let's reflect on the second strategy to overcome procrastination. It is to create a to-do list. So formulate a to-do list with check boxes and stipulated deadlines beside each item. This enables you to monitor your tasks and work towards having the check boxes ticked off diligently. The unchecked boxes are actions to focus on. This assists you to keep a close track on your key tasks and serves as a continuous reminder to get things done without unnecessary delays as the list gets added progressively. As a group lead, such an organized and structured approach would allow you to manage concurrent projects by carefully observing the respective deliverables and milestones accurately. That's the time that we have for today. But nonetheless, please have your questions coming in and I will answer them offline. Thank you very much. Have a great day ahead.